And my name is Ben Savage. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. We'll be taking a look and do quick introductions here. Just a little bit of background about me. I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for over 5 years, starting on Aprika over 3 years now. I'm a certified Salesforce admin, and I've helped a lot of clients and potential clients with project management needs in this space. So I'm really excited to be delivering today's webinar. And as we go through this, we'll have a good time, and hopefully you will as well. So today what we're going to do, I just went over our introduction. We're going to give you a quick overview of Mission Control and what we have to offer. We'll jump into an actual demo. And then from there, we'll be taking any type of questions that you might have. If you do have questions, go ahead and put them into chat, and I'll take those. If not, we can do them live at the end. And then finally, just information around how to get started with Mission Control if you're interested. So, all right. So this is going to be a little bit about Mission Control, some metrics around it, like as far as how many projects, actions completed, hours logged, and customers, some of the customers who actually use it. Those customers that we have are located in over 25 countries, and then the different industries that we serve. So we are built native right on top of Salesforce. And what I always like to say is the same way that you can configure Salesforce, you're also going to be able to configure Mission Control. So what that means is you can add in custom fields. You'll be able to modify your page layouts. You can also build out your own business logic. Additional benefits include any type of analysis that you need to do on your project data. You can leverage standard Salesforce reports and dashboards to do so. I'll also mention that we do have some out-of-the-box reporting, things like revenue recognition. Our PMO dashboard are a couple of examples of that. We also have a role utilization report. And then again, you can report on any of the Mission Control objects through those standard Salesforce reports and dashboards in Salesforce. As far as accessing data, you can do that through the Salesforce One mobile app. So if your team members want to see Mission Control on the go, they can certainly do that. No integrations required. And from a security perspective, all of your data is going to be housed in your own instance of Salesforce. It's a familiar interface, and since it's native to Salesforce, it just takes a couple of minutes to install and get set up from the App Exchange. And then we support both Classic and the Lightning experience. As far as licensing goes, in order to access Mission Control, you're going to need a Mission Control license and a Salesforce license. These are going to be the different license types that we work with. In this next slide, I'm going to go ahead and put everything up so you can see it. This is our feature wall slide. What I like to say is think of this as almost like a menu. So everything's going to be included with Mission Control that you can see within this one slide. But note, you may not use everything right out of the box. You may want to scale up into it, and you can certainly do that. You can do that through roles, which you'll be building out in the system. We also have some permission sets that can be applied you can find on our knowledge base. But things that I'd like to point out that we're really strong in for our system are going to be listed on this overview slide. So things like resource management. Within each individual resource, you can handle billing and cost rates. They can be a part of single or multiple teams. You can also build out a detailed skilled matrix where you can account for different types of skills that each one of those resources may have. And then your scheduler is going to be your resource capacity planning tool. So in that, you're going to get a calendar view. You'll be able to see all your resources down the left-hand side, and across the top, you can get a view from 1 day all the way up to 52 weeks. And you can see all the actions from your projects that are automatically assigned in that calendar view. This is important because you're also going to be able to see if they're over allocated. So do they have too much work? You can move work directly around from the Actions tab within the scheduler. Resource Assignment Wizard, we'll be covering that today. I'll show you how to assign more than one resource to an action within the project. Reassignment Wizard, you can do that on the role or the project level, and you can quickly reassign actions from your project as well. Role Utilization Report, that's one of those reports that I mentioned. You're going to be able to see billable performance on a week-to-week or a monthly basis. And then we can also handle any type of holiday management within the system. Kicking off projects, I'm going to demonstrate that today as well. We'll show you how to do that from a closed won opportunity. You can also manage upcoming projects through project requests. You can clone projects at any time, as well as milestones. And then milestone loader is a really nice feature where let's say that you're working on a current project and you need to build that out. If you were to get some more work on that project, you can reference through the milestone loader a previous project or a template and pull in a milestone and quickly and easily build out that work. For management wise, we can handle agile or waterfall methodology. Project overview gives you a 360 of one particular project. And then you also have a really nice whiteboard as well as a Gantt chart that comes with baseline tracking, dependencies, and critical path. Within your projects, you're going to be able to handle risk and issue management. I'll also mention our PMO dashboard, which can show you your cost and schedule performance index. So are your projects on track or not? Project stakeholders is actually going to be tied over here into the status report. There's what I would put under the umbrella of our notifications. So each week you can have key project stakeholders sent a weekly status report. Think of that almost like a health check, and they'd be able to see key details around where their project was at. Just to mention too, they do not have to be a licensed user of Mission Control or of Salesforce to receive that weekly project status report or any of our notifications. Time tracking wise, I'm going to show you how to use our timesheets today. Just note, an individual can go in and they're going to be able to track both billable, non-billable time. They have access into a start and stop tracker. You also have timesheets. That's where we'll be going in to take a look around at. And then you have some timesheet approvals, both on the project level, also on the role owner level. Either one of those you can leverage to your benefit, as well as your calendar converter. That's going to give a more visual way in a calendar format to log time. Then finally down here underneath financials, I'll be showing you around our billing and our invoicing today within a project. Just note on a very high level, you can issue an invoice, you can record payment, you can also issue a credit from the system, and then you can handle multi-currency support within Mission Control. And then finally moving over here into our project management piece our program management piece. This is typically going to be used around in the development of software, specifically around the agile methodology. So for instance, within the program planner, you can be building out detailed requirements, leveraging your user stories, and then using your storyboard. After that, you can build out the project through the project builder, and you have access into some program analytics as well as a Gantt chart and whiteboards through there. And then finally, in our last row here, you've got some collaboration tools. So you're going to have access to Chatter throughout Mission Control, so you can communicate with your team members. Meeting Manager is a way where you can handle ongoing meetings, and you can actually account for time directly against the project. You can attach files to your project at any point. I mentioned the status report, but we also have a read-only page. And the key difference here is that you would share a link and you could give it to a client. It may be somebody else internal on a team that just needs access into that project. They would click through and get a read-only view of that project in real time. And then underneath productivity tools, I think we've talked through everything with the exception of the storyboard. Actually, I did mention that with a program management. And then you also have your action pad. That's going to be on an individual project where you can go in and users are going to be able to mark off actions directly against the project. And I'll be demonstrating that as well too. So again, all of that's going to be included with Mission Control, but you can scale as needed, and happy to provide any more information at any point. So this is going to walk through quickly just how to get started with Mission Control. If you like what you see at the end of the demo, certainly you can reach out to me, but you can also simply go to the App Exchange. You click Get It Now. The install takes about 2 minutes. You'll be sent over this quick start guide. The quick start guide is the fastest and easiest way to get going with us. If you use a single resource, you'll be up and running with 95% of the product if you follow that quick start guide. You can put that into production or a sandbox for a free 14-day trial. And then we always like to book out a sample project call about halfway through your trial. The purpose of that is just going to be to jump on a call and make sure that you're comfortable with the product, build out a sample project live, and then cover off any questions. Then finally down here, just to mention our resources, and support, we have full resources online, things like Learn Mission Control, which is a learning portal that's modeled after Trailhead. Your users can jump in and self-pace and learn the platform that way. We also have a complete knowledge base, which is built off of user questions. We've got some good training videos as well as a user guide in there. And then just to mention our support, you can always reach us at that email address. We'll get back to you within a business day. And in most cases, that's going to be complete with the resolution. I'll also mention if we have any admins on the line, our release cycle, I think that's another important part of Mission Control. We do 3 releases per year. Those are going to be staggered from Salesforce releases. Those are supported by video and written documentation. You can find our release notes, any of our resource information that you might be looking for directly on the website. It's not gated, so you just find the resources tab and jump in and take a look around. And then certainly if you have any questions on specific use cases, how your team might use it, then you would just come back to us and we can set up time to talk or jump into a full demo, whatever is needed, and take you through that process. All right. So now it's time for the demo. Again, what we're going to do today, we're going to go into the system. We're going to launch a project from an opportunity. I'm going to show you how to assign a resource directly on the project. We're going to go in and then complete that action as if we were a user. We're going to log some time, and then finally we'll take a look at some billing and some invoicing. And again, if you have any questions, certainly put them into chat, or we can go from there and ask those questions after, or I'll answer them. And then if there are any follow-up questions, certainly just send them my way, and I'll put up a slide at the end with my email address. But let's dive in here. All right, so this is what it's going to come and look like when you come into Mission Control. This is your Mission Control console. I'm just going to walk briefly through this just so you have some orientation on what you're looking at. The launch pad is where you're going to go to launch anything new within the system. You also have your progress pad. This progress pad is going to show you progress against any of your projects. So for example, if I were to go into the action pad, that would show me all of my actions across every project that I'm working on. Management pad, you're going to have access into some key reporting, things like the PMO dashboard, role utilization, plus some additional features. And then finally, you've got your control pad. Through here, this is going to be your administrator pad. You're going to be able to set up notifications. You'll be able to go through and make some updates or customizations to fit your organization's need. I'll also go ahead and mention that if you do jump in with a trial, and hopefully everybody on the call will, once you launch it and get into that trial, if you come into this area right here as far as a control pad and come down to create sample data, as soon as you hit create, that'll create 2 projects for you instantly, so you can see exactly the kind of the template that we would use with projects moving forward. All right, so let's look at opportunities. I'm just going to go into this list view right here. Again, I'm just managing that directly within Mission Control. And now I'm just going to go into this Ohana Inc. opportunity. So I can see when I come in that we've got it on prospecting. Today's going to be my close date. This Mission Control auto generation, that's the part I want to walk through. And the idea is when we set this up and then we close win this opportunity, it's going to automatically go ahead and create a project for us on the over far right here. And I'm actually just going to delete this old project, excuse me. Let's go ahead and we'll do this again to show you everything that we're working on here as we do this. So I'm going to be able to come in here. I'm going to set this up, and you have 2 primary methods. If I do it based on opportunity, it's going to look back to a previous project or a template that you're going to load in here, and it'll clone the entire thing. If I do it based on the products method, you'll set it up to associate products to milestones and create more of a customized project based on the products that are actually sold in your project, or excuse me, in your opportunity. And these are just going to be a variation down here of the products method. So I'm going to put that on opportunity. I'm going to say, hey, we need to generate a project. I'm going to look back for a specific one relating to building a website from that template. And now I'm just going to go ahead and we'll just kick it off. I'm just going to keep it on the same date here. So now I'm just going to go off and save. I've got that. Now I'm going to go ahead and change this to closed. And we're going to put on closed one, but just as a note, you can actually tie it to any of these other stages, and you would do that through the control or the admin pad, because often you'll have a different stage in there that you wanted to see the work. Sometimes our customers or potential customers will want to realize that at an earlier time frame. All right, so now we've closed one that we've got our project directly in here, and you're able to see that. So if I were to click into it, it's fully set up for you. And you would be ready to go from that point. All right. So that's how you are going to launch a project from a closed one opportunity. Now, if I come in here, let's go ahead and stay with this particular project and kind of take a look around. On the highest level, you're going to have your project. Underneath, you've got some summary charts, but our structure is project, milestone, action, and checklist item. So that's the way it's structured. In thinking of your milestone, think of that as a container. It's actually going to carry your actions or your deliverables that you need to deliver underneath. So here I've got my action is design wireframe. I can see that I'm working on it. And then underneath here, I've got some checklist items. So I always like to say if the work has to be delivered, I always put it in as an action, and you can create dependencies. I'm going to show you how to do that on the Gantt chart here in just a couple of minutes. But within here, anytime I need to see the next level, again, I'm just coming in and clicking into that plus so I can see exactly what's going on in that project. Now, I mentioned that we may want to assign a resource within here. So I can look across, again, action name, the action owner. I can also see that we have it, what the status might be, our start and our end date. And just to let you know, if you see it in red, that red triangle, that just means it's due today or it's past due. If it's flagged up in orange, it means it's due tomorrow or in the next few days. So it's just a visual indicator for you, but here's where you're going to access that resource assignment wizard and be able to pull in an additional resource. So I just click on that. This is going to show me that I've got 4 hours of billable work. I have 2 hours of non-billable work. I can see obviously I know who I am, but I can see what role I'm working. And if I want to just pull somebody in directly, we'll go ahead and move in Ember here, and we'll assign an hour of time off. So here I can see that Ember's got that hour and it's taken it off me and assigned it to here. I also mentioned that you can set up teams within Mission Control. And so here I'm going to pull in the Easy Websites team. Just as I mentioned, you can also layer on a single or multiple skills, and you'll build this pick list out to meet your own team's needs. You can also layer on skilled proficiency. 1 would be basic, and then 5 is going to be advanced. So just note that. We're using all of this so we can come in and filter and get a view of all the work that everybody's working on. So this what you're looking at here is showing me the time frame, and then what every single person is working on. I can click in and I can see how much work each person has. So if I wanted to say Chris looks like he can take on some additional work, if I want him assigned, we just move him over as well, and we'll just give him, I'm going to say 1.5. From here, all we would do is go off and save. You're going to notice an icon is going to populate right there. We're going to be able to hover over that and see exactly who's going to deliver what work. So that's right there. So again, that's going to be the easiest way to go through and actually assign a resource within the project. All right, so now I'm going to continue on with this project and just kind of walk through some different ways that you might want to complete an action within here. I think one way is I can simply come in, you can see what the status is. If I want to, I can do it directly in here. And so I would just come in underneath edit action. I'm going to take that from planned to complete, go off and save that. And that's going to go ahead and show that action as complete. When we come back in here, it's right there, that's been updated. The second way is going to be I can come in directly into my action pad. Again, we've got some summary charts up at the top. I'm able to see what's going on. I've completed 1 out of 6 actions. Do I have any overdue actions? What are the hours scheduled and completed and remaining? And then I can see I've got the checklist item summary as well. Scrolling down, I've got a list of all the different actions that are going on. If I need to, I can see that I've actually completed my action, but I'm just going to also go ahead and complete one for a team member. In this case, it looks like Chris. So I can click onto that action. I can also open up action detail if I need to see anything what's going on. I can make edits against that. And I can also communicate if I wanted to let Chris know that I was picking this action up. I could certainly mention it, that, or any other details that I might need to. But from here, I simply go through, I'm going to check that off, and that's going to go ahead and show that I've completed that second action in there as well. So that's going to be the next way that you can do it. Another option would be to simply come into the Gantt chart. When you come in here, we're just going to expand that out a little bit. This is going to give you a complete overview of the actual project and what you're doing. I'm going to go ahead and complete an action, then I'll walk you through what you're looking at in the Gantt chart. So I can double click that. Let's actually back out of that one. I'll double click into this one. I can see it's planned. And now I just want to hit complete, confirm. Any changes that you make on here, you'll notice you've got an orange triangle up here. It won't actually save from the Gantt chart until you go off and hit save. And then that'll remove that orange triangle. So if you see the orange triangle, just note, go off and hit save. So that's how you would update your action from here. But again, I kind of want to walk you through what you're looking at in your Gantt chart. So this is the complete overview of the project. It's fully interactive. So if I need to, I can drag and drop to reschedule anything. I can extend actions out, and anything that's dependent on those will move as well within the project. You can turn on and off baseline dates right here, so you can see how your project is performing, how you originally thought. You also have the ability, if I need to change the importance of that particular action, you can double click in and I can change it. If I put it on medium, that changes it to orange. We'll put it here on high and that flags it up to red. You've got full inline editing. So if you were to need to make any changes, you can do that directly within the Gantt chart. Let's move that over so you can see that just a little bit more. And then if I need to add any actions, you can add any level to the project. You would just go to level above. So if I want to add an action under design, I'm going to come to the design milestone, click plus, and I'm just going to do new action test here. And then we're going to come off and assign who we want that to be working on that. And that's going to show you everything through here. So now we've added that, done all of that work, and I can just go off and save here. And then the final space that I wanted to take you in as far as logging time, and this is going to be through our whiteboard, or excuse me, not logging time, but completing an action. And you can also log time within the whiteboard. But when you come into this whiteboard from the tab up top, this is actually showing you a unified view of all of your actions across all of your projects. So you can come in, just think of it as a whiteboard in your office with the actions as sticky notes, and that we can first drag and drop to complete. So we just move that over, that completed that action at point. Again, we'll do one more. So this one's planned, and I'm just moving that over. Now, let's say that in here, I just wanted to see what I was working on to get a view, kind of a reduced down view, so I don't have everybody in here. I would simply come over here to the funnel or the filter. And one, I could have a preset filter, which I would always come in. You can layer on multiple search options. And then really here, I would say, hey, I want to see everything I'm an action owner for, a contributor for, and let's give it, I'm going to give it a solid month out so we can get some activity in there and just go off and filter it. So now I can see everything that I'm working on within here. Just to kind of walk you through on a very high level of what you're looking at on the card, PAN number is a randomly assigned action ID number. You have your action and your project. You can click through to any of those. I can see that I have 6 hours on this particular action. I can also see that there are 3 checklist items to complete. I can hover over and I can see exactly who's helping me. And then through here, if I click on, I can access Chatter, build out a checklist item. I can log an issue, or I can log time or track time, or I can go in and see some action summary details. You can configure the card however you want based on individual users, or you can do it across the board for your team through the control pad. So just note, if you need to make any changes to the card, you would just simply click in through here in that cogwheel and change those settings. But again, to do your action or complete it, you just simply move that over from the whiteboard. All right, next we're going to talk about time logging. Since I'd mentioned that, you can actually log time from here. And again, I'll just demonstrate that. as we're coming in. We're logging time anytime we're in mission control and logging time, it's going directly against an action within a project. If you have several actions underneath a milestone, you'll log time against each one of those separate actions. Once those actions are all completed, it'll complete the milestone. In turn, that's going to drive the overall project. So in here, I'm just going to say I've worked 2.5 hours on this particular action, and I want to go off and log time. And so that's going to go ahead and say that directly in here as soon as we're done. So here's my 2.5 out of 6 on that particular action that's been logged. The other way you're going to have as a user to come in and log time is going to be directly through your timesheet. So timesheet, it loads up for a single user, lists everything they're responsible for, whether they're an action owner or contributor. And again, we're just logging time directly against that action within the project. So I can see what my project and milestone, my action, how many hours are set. I've got some action completion, some time tracking, and I'll demonstrate that in just a minute or two. So here I'm going to say that I've worked 2 hours of billable time. If I want, I can double click into that, and you can actually make any type of notes. So maybe we updated the client, something like that. And then it's showing I've got my 2 hours. Also, just to note, you can add time log types within the system. So if there's a specific way that you wanted to account for your time, you can do that, and then you can use that for reporting and data clarity. So at this point, I'm going to go off, and let's just log a little bit more time throughout so you can see. And if you'll notice, it's automatically populating at the bottom for you. So just note that as well. If I'm doing this daily, I'm just going to save the timesheet. If I go through at the end of the week, save and submit, clone last week's hours will actually clone whatever hours I've submitted last week. So if I'm doing it fairly repetitive week after week, you could leverage that option as well. If I needed to add, let's say that I'm working on a project, I got pulled in that I wasn't assigned to a specific action, but I know that I needed to log time against it, you'd simply come in and add that particular action, and then you're just going to go off and log time. So I'm just going to put in 3 hours there. From here, just as a note, I would like to point out this bottom utility bar right here. At any point when you're in mission control, you'll have this at the bottom, and you're going to be able to go through and do common functionality. So one of those is going to be able to log time. So again, you're just going to go through and update your information directly in there and log time as well. I've mentioned that we are also built native right on top of the Salesforce One mobile app. So here are 3 screenshots from an iPhone, what would show you the user experience to log time through the iPhone or through the Salesforce One mobile app. So again, you would just come in, hit log time. You're going to go through. They can make any updates. They can also upload a photo if that's important to you and your team. And then coming over here, that's what the time log would look like. And then a couple of other ways you can log time in here, or I should say another way, is going to be directly through our calendar converter. So in here, it's just a more visual way. It will pull through any actions that have been assigned to me in this time frame that I need to log time against. It'll pull through any Salesforce events from my Salesforce calendar. In this case, lunch with customer is not associated to any project yet, but I can account for time and connect it there. And then the third way is I can just go through and drag and drop. So if I do that, I just specify what project, what milestone, and then what action, and go off and hit log time. And that's going to log your time in the system directly as well. And then finally, I mentioned approvals around our timesheets. Here's what that might look like. So for example, if I'm responsible for Colin, I'm going to be able to go through and mark all of this off for approval. And then if I need to send something back, I can do that. If I need to clarify, I can also go through here and mark that with chatter. I'll also mention something around our notifications that we have set up within Mission Control, or I should say you can set them up. You've got some timesheet notifications that'll go out. So for example, if it's set up where I should receive a notification to fill out my time card every Friday at 3 p.m., unless I've done that, I'll receive that notification. And then on Monday, if let's say that Chris was my manager, if I hadn't submitted that, then he would receive notifications saying that I still have an outstanding timesheet to be submitted. So just note that we've got some notifications around in there. So those are going to be the different ways that you can log time within the system as well. And now we're going to take a quick look over at billing. I'm going to come back into my projects view here, just discard those changes. This gives me a list view of everything that's going on in the project and across multiple projects. Again, just as a quick tip, if you jump in with a trial, I always like to point out that through here, if you come to all, and then you go in underneath your select fields to display, you can actually move over exactly what you would like to see, and then just move those fields up and down accordingly. So you can customize this view. Through here, I actually want to search for a specific one that we've got some billing around, and I'll explain that. So we're going to take a look at the Principal Technology website. Again, it's going to be that similar flow of design, build, and deliver for our milestones, but we'll take a specific look at around the billing. In order to explain that, before we go to the billing tab, I always like to walk through the setup of the project so you can understand what's possible within Mission Control. First, we have our project name, then we have our project owner, the account, contact, and opportunity. All of that's going to roll up for you in Salesforce. You can have multiple projects underneath the same account. Here you can set up categories as well as subcategories within Mission Control. Here we have our billing type. So you've got some different ones. You have fixed price plus expenses, time and materials, controlled by milestones is going to be a manual way, any of the top three here, and then deposit to T&M is a new one where you can account for payment on the front end and then run the project accordingly from there. Here you put in your project budget, you can have your billing and your cost rate. You've got the same options of standard, role-based, and skill-based. Standards, flat fee, role-based is based on the individual role rate, and then skill-based is based on the individual skill assigned from that role into the action, and is going to offer the most granular billing. Here we would just put in if we were accounting for any overtime, non-billable work. You can also change the color of the project on the whiteboard or the scheduler. You have some timesheet approvals and then some additional functionality that you can set up. Over here, this is where you're going to get into the actual billing information. So I can put in a purchase order, I can handle multiple tax rates, and here's where we get into the different billing cycles. So you can manually raise an invoice at any point. You can have it set up where it will automatically create an invoice on the completion of a milestone. You can set up periodic timeframes or select periodic timeframes in here where it'll automatically send, or you can have retainer based. So any of those are going to be a possibility. Everything on the right-hand side is going to pull through. I'll also mention that in here you can put in anticipated project expenses, and then you can account for those as you're running through, and it'll go against that total. So that's going to be the basic project setup, and some around billing, what you would need to do. As far as billing goes within Mission Control, again, we come in, we've got some summary charts. I can see my overall project, the amount invoiced, remaining, paid, and then anything that might be outstanding. And here I've got that information in a graph format. What it actually looks like, you're going to create a billing event within the system, and then you'll have a billing event item. In this case, I've created one in here and generated an invoice. And so I can show you what that looks like. Note, as we come into this, you're going to be able to go through and actually put in your own logo within the invoice. So if you want to have that, and then it'll just have some basic details around, the invoice creation, summary description on what's going on for this particular invoice. All right. So let me go back in here and let's just come back into this main screen. At this point, let me jump in and we'll take a look at any type of questions that you have. And let me do this. And let's do one other thing here. Come into our questions. All right, so let's put this up. Just a giant thank you for, I appreciate everybody attending today, but let's look at these questions. All right, so how do you create and manage different resources? So to create resources, you would just do that underneath your roles within the system. And actually, we've got a couple of minutes, so let me take you back into mission control and show you real quick what that might look like. So in order to create multiple roles within the system, you're just going to come underneath role. And I'm just going to go underneath edit for mine, just because it'll be a little bit faster for you. But essentially, you could clone over an existing role if they're going to have a similar role type. But you would just come in and put them in as a user, contact, or asset. Within mission control, you do have 3 different types of resources. That first one, user, is a full licensed user. They'll need a mission control and a Salesforce license, but they'll have full access into the system. Contact, they don't have to be in the system as a full licensed user. If you set them up as a contact, they may be external or internal, just not needing full access in. You would have that contact associated to a project as an action owner or contributor, and then they're going to be able to receive some email notifications around that work that they're delivering. And then finally, asset, think of that as like a placeholder. So if I know I'm going to need a project manager, a designer, those types of names, or whatever you'd like to put in there, you would be able to track that. Another use case would be if you have any type of physical asset. So do you have a laptop, a camera that you need to associate to that project, and then you can deploy it when you're finished from there. Other things to note, you just fill out job title, hours per week, and the billable target. This is just how many hours they're supposed to work per week, and then the actual percentage of those hours that you want to be billable. That's going to be important because that'll show through your scheduler and show you if they're over allocated or not. You can put in some additional information throughout here as far as around billing rate, when they're supposed to work, notifications set up in here. Do they have an expense approver? And then down through here, this is where I was saying you could scale up or down based on the individual role, simply by checking or unchecking. So if they're not a manager, you can uncheck the management pad. If they're not within the admin, you can uncheck that control pad. A lot of options through here on the project level, Gantt chart settings. You can make some notes for that role. And then down through here, this is where I mentioned you can have somebody as a part of single, or they could be a part of multiple teams. So you'll set up your teams. And then down through here, this is where you get into that skill assignment. So out of the box, you'll have certification, skill, and language. You can add to that pick list if you like. You can build out your own pick list of skills. And then through here, you can make it active, account for proficiency. And typically, if there's a certification, you're going to have an expiration date. And then finally, down through here, you're going to have your cost and your hourly rate in there. All right, so let's see. So again, that's going to be how you would create the resources. As far as management of those resources, I'm going to show you, you could manage them through teams. So in here, we'll just go, let's select all of our different teams that we've got, and we'll take a look at that Easy Websites team. So it's going to show me that it's active. If I go under this related tab right here, this is going to show me everybody that's been assigned. And then if I need to add some team members, I can do that. You can also assign holiday team assignments. So everybody on that team would have the same assignment in there as far as their holidays. All right. The next question is going to be, is this per user, per license? It is going to be per user, per license if they need access in to work on the project. So again, but only, I will make this statement, that only those who need access in would need a license of mission control and of Salesforce. So if you just have a project management team and several other teams, not everybody in that organization would need a license unless they need access into the project to work around. Okay. All right, so can this integrate with AD or other identity management solutions for resource management? So since we're natively built to Salesforce, we don't directly have any other integrations into any other applications. However, that's quite common to be able to have another applications, whether it's QuickBooks or another system that you need to connect. And I always explain it the same way. You would have to have a third-party app that through API integration, in this case, I'm saying it would be the identity management solution, that is being connected through a third-party application and API integration into Salesforce. Once it's in Salesforce, you would connect that data over, and it should be possible from there. But again, if you'd like, reach back out on the side and I'll be able to take that a little bit further back to our team from there. All right. All right. Well, I think we're coming up on time. Again, I would like to just express a giant thank you. Does anybody have any other questions or any other thoughts at this point before we sign off and everybody I hope has a good day. We'll give it one more second here. No? All right. If anybody needs to contact me, please connect with me on LinkedIn, send me an email. I'll be happy to connect with you and take it from there. But if you have any other questions, just let us know. And again, thank you for attending today's webinar, and I hope everybody has a great afternoon.